Hello, hello, hello. I'm Adam Caesar. I've written the Clown in the Cornfield series of teen slasher novels. The first one became a Bram Stoker Award winner. Clive Barker said nice things about it. The newest one, Clown in the Cornfield 3, The Church of Friendo, hit the USA Today bestseller list. Just waiting for folks to get in here. While I do that, I should probably share this. How do I do that? Hey, I'm Adam Caesar. I hopped on here today because I'm definitely best known for the Clown in the Cornfield books. First one won the Bram Stoker Award. Newest one, Clown in the Cornfield 3, The Church of Friendo, hit the USA Today bestseller list. But my new book just came out in paperback. It is called Influencer. It is about a sociopathic Instagram poet who thinks he's the next coming of Charles Manson, and the one girl at his school who's going to try to stop him. It is inspired by things like American Psycho, Silence of the Lambs. There's a little bit of a home invasion element to it. So stuff like Funny Games or The Strangers. If that sounds like that, hey Adam, that doesn't sound like the premise for a young adult novel. Yeah, it's similar to the Clown in the Cornfield books, which are I would say R-rated young adult. The film adaptation of the first Clown in the Cornfield just actually technically got its R rating from the MPAA, and this book has a pretty significant content warning. So just know going in that this is somewhat extreme for the kind of fiction you might be expecting, but I'm very, very proud of it. And it's very mean, and it's getting the best reviews of my career. It so far we have a starred review from Kirkus, and a starred review from School Library Journal. It's just been really, really cool. Going in the chat because I have some questions, or I have some comments that came in here. Price X Mark said, I just finished the first Clown in the Cornfield book and it was incredible. Thank you so much. Thanks. Glad you liked it. I hope you check out the sequels. I hope you check out book 2 and book 3. But most of all, because today's this very special day, I hope you enjoy Influencer. Just joining, Cody Burnt says, just joining, is Influencer out now? Yes, it's out wherever books are sold. You can run to your local Barnes & Noble and go grab it. If you're in the UK, you can run to, I guess, Waterstones. It looks different if you're in the UK. It looks like this. Very, very cool edition. Yeah, or you can hop online, and there's a local bookstore close to me that sells signed copies. You can grab that. Do you heard Ready Player One? I've never read the book. I saw the Spielberg movie. Can't say it was for me. I've got the sequels ready to start and added Influencer to my Amazon wish list. Thank you so much. Thank you, Price Mark. We need signed copies in the UK. I know. I wish I had the ability to get those out to you, but the store I work with just can't do international shipping. It's just too much, too expensive, too crazy. Trying to get the glare off my. There you go. It made one stream look better and one stream look worse. So we'll go with it. You probably already gave us a synopsis, but can you give me one, please? Says Kyle. Kyle, this is a I would call it a psycho thriller, kind of like serial killer thriller. It's definitely a horror book. Um, where we're following a sociopathic Instagram poet who thinks he is the next coming of Charles Manson. Like he's built a kind of a quasi cult among his followers, his social media followers. And then the one girl at school who basically like unmasks him because he's an anonymous streamer, and she's gonna try to stop him from doing something very very bad, even though he's already done several very very bad things. It's a very very violent book. It opens with a scene of pretty tremendous violence and then kind of continues amping up suspense as it goes. Thank you. Cody says, sweet. I'm going to grab it today. Thank you so much. Kyle says, sounds great. I'm going to pick up a copy on Thursday. Thank you, Kyle. Edward Jacobus says, congrats on your new book. I also just read the first Climb the Cornfield and it was a lot of fun. First slasher novel I read too. So thanks for getting me hooked on the novel subgenre. Thank you. Thank you, Edward. I like hearing I'm getting people into the more literary side of the subgenre. Speaking of which, I guess it is Stephen Graham Jones Day. It is marking the release of like 5 backlist books from Stephen Graham Jones's catalog, including It Came from Del Rio, and a bunch of other good ones. But Stephen Graham Jones is kind of the king of the literary slasher in a way. And he blurbed Influencer. He's got, if you can't read these tiny letters, it's because they're tiny. I'll read it for you. This is the only book for years to worm its way into my dreams and make me finish the book faster, just so I can maybe sleep again. Stephen Graham Jones, New York Times bestselling author. He wrote books like My Heart is a Chainsaw, things like that, and The Incredible Only Good Indians and Mongrels. And his recent book is definitely the book to get if you're just getting into his work. I Was a Teenage Slasher. I would recommend it over the Jade Daniels books actually because it is a standalone because you don't need to read 3 books to feel like you got the whole thing going. Great book. Also out today that I wanted to give a little shout out to Coup de Grace. Coup de Grace. I don't know. Do I have the look or demeanor of someone who speaks fluent French? Um, Sophia Ajram, amazing book, amazing book. This is soft cover because this is an arc, but I think the hardcover edition of this little novella just came out today. It's out from Titan Books. It's amazing. It's about a suicidal guy whose plan is to ride the Montreal subway to the end of the line and then just go jump in a body of water and drown himself. But the train stops, it opens up its doors, he gets out of the station, and he can't leave the station. The station just goes on forever. It's this kind of like liminal horror thing. It's very scary. It's very sad, but it's very, very good. Um, really, really enjoyed this one. And I share a book birthday with it. It's out the same day as Influencer. Have you seen the trailer for the new Nosferatu? Looks pretty good. I don't watch trailers. I know it's David Eggers, right? I'm gonna see it. I know I'm gonna see it. So I just don't watch trailers. Nothing. There's no need to sell me on it. I know I'm going to see it. So Eliza Mooney says, just happened upon this. We'll be buying. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Eliza. It's Car Seat Depressed says, oh, it's got a Daniel Krauss burb. You know it's going to be good. Yeah, Daniel Krauss is the best. Daniel Krauss says, one of the most powerful books I've ever been lost inside. It's not only a Daniel Krauss burb, it's like a really good Daniel Krauss burb. If you guys don't know Daniel Krauss, his newest book, or one of his newest books, he just co-wrote a book with George Romero, a new one called Pay the Piper. But his book before that, Whalefall, great book. I loved Whalefall. It's about a scuba diver that gets swallowed by a sperm whale and has like just an hour or so of oxygen to get out. It's like 127 hours, but in a sperm whale. It's great. I was Daniel Krauss's in conversation partner for the launch of that book here in the Philadelphia area, which is really cool. Amanda asked, Adam Caesar, is your teen slasher novel a YA? The Influencer is not a slasher. Let's make sure we say that. This is definitely not a slasher in that sense. It's not a mass thing. It's like it's more of a serial killer type thing. Again, more of an American Psycho type thing, which I would definitely not call a slasher. Clown in the Cornfield these are both YA books. These are both technically teen books, YA books. But I'd say a good 60 to 70% of my readers are adults. They definitely don't pull any punches. They definitely don't. No characters are safe. This one has a content warning that's reads you the riot act in the beginning. So if you're scared away by the fact that they're YA, you should read them, and might change your perspective about what YA is. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as a lot of my compatriots who write YA fiction, the only rule for YA is that it has teen characters and features teen concerns. So, Bloody Bindings says, love the Clown in the Cornfield books. Going to grab Influencer on Audible now. I hope you enjoy it, Bloody Bindings. The interesting thing about this book is it was an Audible original. It started life as an Audible original, which means if you're an Audible subscriber, you don't have to use a credit on it. It's just included with your plan. They kind of assumed you already paid for it. But the thing about the paperback is because it is kind of a year later edition of the book, this is the director's cut. I put a couple of chapters that wouldn't have worked for audio, they're like chat log. They're these interstitial chapters where we're hearing what the bad guy has been DMing people all across the country. And they're not essential. Like, you still get the full story when you listen to the audiobook. But they're just a little bonus that I wanted to add back in to this edition of the book. Gaming with Power 52 says, just now listening to the audiobook of Clown in the Cornfield. Thank you so much. Jesse Valinsky, who narrates the first audiobook, narrates all three of the books. She does a great job. Her performance in book 3 is especially great, I thought. Speaking of trailers, is the Clown in the Cornfield movie still on? If so, how does it feel that you're getting a movie adaptation? It feels awesome. Yes, it's not only still on, it's finished. The movie's done. It's in post-production right now. It just got its MPA rating 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago. It's rated R. It's a pirate's favorite kind. Millie Har says, hi, Har content creator from the UK here, would love a follow. I'll check out your stuff, Millie Har. Thank you. The Blu-ray and DVD collector, you're my person. So look, I got my new Vinegar Syndrome shirt on. Hi, Adam. I got Clown in the Cornfield for my birthday last month, and I'm close to finishing it. I'm enjoying it, and I also just ordered the second, Friendo Lives. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much. I hope you check out Influencer, too, when you're done with the Clown in the Cornfield series. Splatter Crunk, great name, says, congrats on the release. Started the audiobook yesterday. Looking forward to picking up the physical today. Awesome. We love double dippers. I mean, I'm a horror person. There's a corner over there with like 6 different versions of Evil Dead 1 and 2, the same movie on all different editions. So double dipping is a horror person's vocation and avocation. Happy book birthday, dude. I do have a question. Have you ever had a scene from a book hit the cutting room floor, quote unquote, in the editing process that you were able to repurpose for another book or story? That's a very good question. Lincoln Thorne asked that. There's the technical term for that, or a semi-technical term. That's called cannibalizing. That is called, when you take either a sequence or a character or something from a book that either you didn't publish or a story you didn't publish, and then repurpose it for something else. I have one example of that. I don't have a lot of trunk novels. They're called trunk novels, like when you finish a novel and you, for whatever reason, don't sell it. I have one trunk partial. It was a book called The Oleander Club, and the premise of it was, I can tell you the premise of it now, and I can tell you the title of it now, because it's definitely never getting published, because I've cannibalized it twice. the Oleander Club was this epistolary novel, it was written all in like emails from this one teacher at working at a school, and she was convinced that the popular kids at school, the honor students in her AP classes, were starting an internet cult and were going to try to kill her. So that was the premise, and it was I really struggled with how to make it work. And I tried to get agents with it. And it was this is pretty early in my career. This is before Climb the Cornfield, the first one, and I just couldn't make it work. I love conspiracy thought, and I'm so scared by like conspiracy thought, um, and like how easily we can kind of lapse into it, and paranoia and all things like that. But that book I basically cannibalized and made it into two books. Um, I took one of those plot lines and threads and ideas, a lot of the themes from the Oleander Club, kind of became the backbone of what Climb the Cornfield 2 is. I mean, that's not much cannibalizing. It's not like I, copy pasted anything from the Word document, but it was just like the general feel and paranoia of it came from went into Climb the Cornfield 2. And then like that whole idea of like kids, like one of my favorite subgenres of movies is like delinquents taking over a school or like being a problem for a specific teacher. I'm talking about stuff like Class of 1984 here, Massacre at Central High, like those. I love movies like that. So I wanted to do kind of my own version of that. And I just realized that the Oleander Club, being from the perspective of a teacher, was like not as interesting as a YA version of the same thing, where it's from the perspective of the teenager she suspects of being a serial killer, and that became Influencer. So great question, Lincoln. Sorry that was such a long answer to it, but yeah, that became this book. Jordan Reidiger asks, getting anything from the Vinegar Syndrome drop today? There is a very good reason why I didn't start the stream before noon, because I wanted to go buy movies. So yeah, I'm a subscriber, so I get all the I'm getting the Tenet, and I'm getting Corpse Mania, and I'm getting the other movies. And I got a couple things from the other stuff like the VSAs and stuff. The faculty can't trust any kids. Yeah, so like the faculty, well, the faculty is the opposite, because the faculty, the bad guys are the teachers, at least at the start of it. But yeah, so a less speculative version of the faculty, but the faculty has worked its way into my work. This is my newest book, and this is my oldest book, Video Night. I wrote this book before I can legally drink. But the faculty, if you like the faculty vibes, grab Video Night. Happy pub day. Can't wait till my copy comes in. Thank you so much, Horror Girl. Jay North says, super early, but any plans to make Climb the Cornfield 4? Yes, I want to. This is not an official announcement, so don't clip this and send it to my editor. But this book hit the USA Today bestseller list. And if you read Climb the Cornfield 3 and you reach the epilogue, you have a pretty firm idea of what I want to do with a possible Climb the Cornfield 4, which would, the first three form a kind of trilogy and end stuff for certain characters. But I have a lot of room and ideas for 4 that I would like to do. So as far as I'm concerned, no, it's 3 is not the end. Don't call it a trilogy. But official announcement on that coming later. Aaron says, hit the list for a reason. So freaking good. Thank you so much. Well, it hit the list because people were really cool and pre-ordered it. And to make the USA Today bestseller list, and to make any of those bestseller lists, they really, for a lot of books, that aren't the kind of institutional best-selling books, you really only have a shot that first week. You really only have a shot at cracking the list with your first week sales, because the first week sales include all the pre-orders. So I thank everyone in this chat, and everyone who follows me, and everyone who's been on the TikTok and the YouTube for a long time, all my ride or dies. The amount of pre-orders that this book got, the amount of people who put their money down, sight unseen, just all you have is this cool Matt Ryan Tobin cover, are the reason this hit the USA Today bestseller list. So I thank you very, very much. And everyone who pre-ordered Influencer, I thank you too, because I was just at I had to go to Children's Book World, which is the local bookstore that sells my signed copies. I had to go to them 3 times this week. First 2 times, first 2 times because they had to order more books. They had to get more books in. And I had to sign them in batches. And then the third time because people were getting their orders in kind of right at the deadline of, like, what the pre-order window was. So I had to run back and sign a whole bunch more. It's really, really cool. So thank you everyone who did that. Edwin H asked, "Will there be a hardcover of Influencer?" Never say never, but there are no plans for it right now. Because this was kind of a reprint with the way it's based on an Audible original. I think the publisher, which is Union Square and Company, which is technically owned by Barnes and Noble. They're a Barnes and Noble subsidiary, so it's weird that Audible owns half, Amazon owns half, and Barnes and Noble owns half of this. Um, I think they were kind of considering it a reprint, so I don't think there is going to be a hardcover of this. There might be like a limited edition or something like that somewhere down the line if this does well, but I wouldn't count on it. Like, I would grab the paperback if you can. I zoom back says, "Was so hype when you won the Bram Stoker Award." Thank you so much. If we'd like to see it in the chat, I can bring it down. It's fun. It's sitting next to my Space Marines, as if it is Warhammer terrain. This is the Bram Stoker Award. When you win a Bram Stoker Award, you don't just get a cool certificate or a pat on the back. You get a little haunted house that has my name and the name of the book engraved in there. It's just really cool. It's really heavy too. And every time I take it down to show it, I feel like I'm going to drop it and mess it up. What's your favorite poster on your walls? That's a good question. Here, I'll take down a little tour. The YouTube chat doesn't get this, sorry. But probably my favorite. I love this one. I love this Maniac one. It's signed by William Lustig. Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. One of my favorite movies. Love that one so much. I have this Lady Terminator one, which rules. This one's probably my favorite, actually, because it's so rare and so weird. You can't even really tell if you're not familiar with the film. You won't know what this is for. It just says "scream, scream, 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 scream," and it has these kids lined up, and it's got this dude with a gun. That is for the Spanish horror film "Who Could Kill a Child," which is a great movie. But I just love the art on that. So that's it. We went on a little tour. Jesse says, "I just watched Maniac for the first time the other day. What did you think? I love it. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite sweaty performances. Joe Spinell in that movie is the Academy Award of sweaty guy. Being a sweaty guy myself, I appreciate that. I actually love the remake. I really like the Elijah Wood version of Maniac. But Elijah Wood, not as sweaty, not as sweaty at all. Have you ever watched the Terrifier movies? If so, what did you think of the? I feel like the chat's getting cut off. Edward Jacobus asks, "Yeah, I've seen both of the Terrifier films. The first one, I have to go back and rewatch the first one because I was not a huge fan of the first one. I liked the effects, I liked the performance, I liked the look of art. I just didn't vibe with, like, just the pacing and, like, and just, like, the kind of nihilism of it. But that said, I absolutely love the second one. I love this that the second one is so indulgent. I love that the second one is, like, what is it? Like, it's like 2.5 hours long. It's like the Lawrence of Arabia of clowns pouring bleach into people's wounds movies. I really like two, which gives me a lot of hope for three. I'm hoping that I don't know, what would you call it? Maximalism continues in 3. And I like how weird 2 it. Like 2 has those weirdo kind of like supernatural flourishes, which where the first one had like a tiny little bit, a couple, but nowhere on that level of 2. So that's just my general take on those movies. And with the caveat of like I like 2 so much, I've been wanting to go back and rewatch 1. Um, as Jesse says, super sweaty. We're talking about Joe Spinell, not Art the Clown. Joe Spinell versus Art the Clown would be the way to go. Hi, Adam. I'm excited to read your new book. I loved all of them, especially the con season. Oh, that's so great. Thank you so much. Do I have copies of the con season? Oh, I have one. The con season doesn't get a ton of love because it is one of my backlist titles, because it's not as readily available in stores like the Clown of the Cornfield books are. If you just walk into your local Barnes and Noble and you go to the YA section, you can pick up the Clown of the Cornfield books wherever you live. You can pick up Influencer wherever you live. And if they're not at the store, they're probably at the store. You should just ask. They might be shelved weird. But the con season is something you can only really get online. Through booksellers online. It is a slasher. It's the only other slasher I've written be outside of the Clown of the Cornfield series, and it takes place at a horror convention. It is a group of celebrities are lured to the woods of Kentucky to a defunct summer camp. They think that they're going there to sign autographs for fans, and they're actually there to be fans are signing up to basically do like an interactive experience, basically like Sleep No More, like the live theater experience, to watch them be killed in a slasher movie. It's very, I wouldn't say meta, but it's very satirical. It's basically, what if Robert Altman's The Player was a slasher? Talks about like notions of fandom, notions of on-screen violence versus real-world violence, fame, the idea of like being famous or infamous for only a certain thing, and what that does to you. I'm really proud of this book. So if you like my other books, if you like my teen books, check out my adult novel, The Con Season. Thank you, Becky, for shouting out The Con Season, giving me a reason to talk about it. Angie says, I loved Clown of the Cornfield. Thank you, Angie. You might love Influencer even more. I honestly think that. As I've said, best reviews of my career. Got a star reviewed in Kirkus, a star reviewed in School Library Journal. Stephen Graham Jones blurb on the front. This is the only book for years to worm its way into my dreams and make me finish a book faster, just so I can maybe sleep again. And a Darcy Coates blurb on the back. Sizzling writing and a skin crawling story make Influencer one of the most addictive horror novels I've read. It's deeply uncomfortable, deeply perceptive, and deliciously fun. That's a corker of a blurb. That's a really, really good blurb. I think you and I should play some Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Game looks fun. I'm gonna get it. I have a Steam Deck, so I'm gonna grab it on Steam Deck. Especially now that they just added Tom Savini and Elvira as playable characters. Definitely gonna do it. Angie says, adding to the TBR. Thank you so much, Angie. Just came out today. It is in Barnes and Nobles. It is in Books a Millions too, I believe. So hope people will run out today and grab it. If not, run out today and grab it. If you want a signed copy from me, there is a link in my description to a local bookstore that sells signed copies. Jack William Finney asked, "Is Video Night older than the first one you expect?" Yes, Video Night is the first book for Video Night. Technically, the first book I ever wrote. The only book, quote unquote, older than that, at least publishing. Is Tribesman. Tribesman came out slightly before Video Night. It came out like 2 months, 3 months before Video Night, but it was written after. Tribesman, which is an Italian cannibal ghost story. Kind of The Shining meets Make Them Die Slowly. Video Night first, then Tribesman. Then the chronology gets a little hazy, because then I believe The Summer Job was next. This is my New England folk horror novel. Then maybe those novellas that Jack William Finley is talking about. Zero Lives Remaining, First One You Expect, which I don't have a copy on me. I actually sold out of them at the last con I was at. So imagine I'm holding up the First One You Expect right here. And this, and then Exponential, Giant Monster Road novel, and then the con season, and then a bunch of comic books, tie-in comic books, and then the first Clown of the Cornfield, and then we're up to the present. Becky says, "Love seeing your work get popular." Hey, you and me both, Becky. Yeah, I've been working at this for a long time. I've been publishing, semi-professionally for 15 years. I was able to go full time when right around when the first Climb the Cornfield book came out. So I'm definitely, I got a baby face for sure, right? But I'm no spring chicken. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been working at it, and I've been trying to build a readership. And you know, good things started to happen, 4 or 5 years ago with Climb the Cornfield. But it's really, really heated up recently. And I'm very, very grateful for everyone who's picked up the books, for everyone who made Climb the Cornfield 3 a USA Today bestseller. That helps. Like it's a weird, writing's a weird thing because you get these little victories. You get a lot of little setbacks, you get a couple of those a year, and then you get a couple, like, hopefully, if you're lucky, you get a couple wins a year too. But I've been getting more wins than losses recently, which is really good. Still, the losses still come. I actually had a project canceled yesterday, which is bad because I won't get to do it. But it's kind of good because I still got paid for it, which was nice. So you win some, you lose some. You got to know when to hold them, when to fold them. LW Gunner says, "Can't wait, grabbing it this weekend. I hope you enjoy. If you go to a store and they don't seem to have it, ask them, because they really might. They just might shelve it weird. This book's going to cause all kinds of havoc because the Clown of the Cornfield books, I always hear. I looked in the horror section and I couldn't find it, and then they left the store. When it's in the young adult sections, in the young adult science fiction and fantasy section, and then to add more confusion, Influencer tends to be shelved in the YA fiction, just general fiction, non-genre fiction section. So YA horror kind of has no good place to go in these stores. So ask your booksellers if you don't see it. Becky asked, "Will you be doing any more adult horror?" Never say never. Probably at some point. My agent asks me that all the time because there are publishers that don't do young adult that like me and want to work with me, but I just don't. I don't have that much interest in it because I love writing YA stuff. Like if you look at a book like Influencer, and some of you have already listened to the audiobook, some of you have already read it. There's nothing. There's nothing censored. There's nothing. I don't feel constrained or held back by the YA title at all. And I like my readership. I like going to festivals like I just did this weekend. I went to a book festival and having teenagers come up with their parents, and the parents have read the books with them. And the parents are like whispering to the side of me, like, "This is our favorite book," like stuff like that. You don't really get in the adult horror world. Like you'll maybe, if you're lucky enough, if you're good enough, you get to be one of someone's favorite authors. You're probably not beating King for any adult horror reader. You're probably not beating Barker. You're probably not beating, the Rachel Harrisons and the Paul Tremblays and the Clay McLeod Chapmans of the world. But in my little YA area, where I get to, interface with readers that maybe don't get served by those adult books, or am forming a bridge to those adult books, I'm very, very grateful, and I like the audience a lot. And I've got a bunch more YA stories I want to tell before I switch back to adult, if I ever do. Mothman says, "Just ordered my autographed copy. So excited. So excited. The perfect time for a spooky book." Thank you, Mothman. I believe in you. I believe in you, Mothman. Thank you. Mothman just picked up a autographed copy from Children's Book World. I really appreciate it. Can I buy online as I'm from the UK? Asks Millie Har. Millie, I'm sorry, but you can't buy signed copies because the store I work with can't do it. They're just not equipped to do international shipping. But Millie, Your copy of Influencer looks like this. Your version of Influencer looks like this. It actually came out a week ago. It came out a little bit earlier in the UK. I think it should be at Waterstones. It should be at all your chain bookstores over there and stuff like that. So this is what your cover looks like. It's very cool. It's got this great spot varnish. It's the same exact book. It's a little bit shorter, which I kind of like. Brings the UK version's a little closer to like a mass market paperback, and the US is definitely more of a trade. Reese Lennox asks, "Is a fourth Clown of the Cornfield coming?" Reese, you read? Did you read 3? Did you read the epilogue? You can tell I want to. You can tell I want to do one. This book hit the USA Today bestseller list. It helps me make a good case for doing it. So I hope so. That's my hope. Love the different UK, US covers. Can you talk about the process of getting covers created? That's a really good question, Mothman. Stuff I stole said, I just want to say I love video night. Thank you, Stuff I Stole. I really appreciate that. So I'm not. I want to say I want to choose my words carefully here because I don't want to sound ungrateful. I'm not so much consulted in the process of the covers, or I don't have to be consulted in the process of the covers. Influencer was a case where they got Tomasz Majewski, who's an incredible artist, and just kind of let him run with what he wanted to do for the cover here, Union Square. And I think they chose a great artist and they got a great design out of him because it just looks so awesome. It doesn't, you can't even really tell from the stream because things are looking a little foggy on the stream. But this has a great spot varnish. It's really like phosphorescent on there on the lettering for it. I really like the cover. I wasn't 100% consulted in it. And then with like UK editions and different um, different editions for a lot of the deals, the other publishers, the licensing publisher needs to either pay Tomas to use this art, or they have to come up with their own art. So I think that's what happened here. And I'll be quite honest, when I first saw the UK cover for Influencer, I was like, oh, I was used to Tomas's art, and I was like, oh, this isn't, this is so different. I don't like, I don't love it. But seeing it in person, seeing it on a shelf, it's kind of gorgeous. I love the way it looks. So just two different good covers, two different approaches to covers. Um, Millie just asked, I might have just answered your question, Millie. Why are the US and UK covers different? I think it's a money thing. I think they would have had to, I think the US or the UK publisher, it might be a preference thing. They get another bite at the apple. They get to do their own cover with their own designers if they want to. And then I would think they have to pay the artist again to use this. So there's probably a million different reasons that I'm not privy to because I'm not part of those conversations. But that's definitely one of them. Ben Grimm says, "Looking forward to the Ghost Game. Feels perfect for spooky season." Yes, I have a movie coming out this month too. Not I don't have a movie coming out. I didn't direct it. Jill Gesvargian, Gevargizian, who wrote and directed The Stylist, a great movie. If you've seen The Stylist, I wrote the script for her second feature called Ghost Game, and it comes out October 22nd on VOD. There's going to be a limited theatrical run too. I'm not 100% sure the cities there, but definitely Kansas City, Los Angeles. I forget. But the Ghost Game, and then there's going to be a disc too. The Blu-ray comes out sometime in December. I want to say like December 12th, something like that, just in time for Christmas. But I'm very, very excited about people seeing Ghost Game. I got to see it at a film festival. I got to see it at the Chattanooga Film Festival. I was in attendance. The 3 stars were in attendance, and Jill was there too. So very, very exciting stuff. Edward Jacobus asks, since you want to make a Clown of the Cornfield 4, do you know how far / you can want to take the series? slasher escalate gore as the series goes on. So it'd be funny if book 7 Quinn like rips out a friendo's spine. Yeah, Quinn's already like OP. She's already like kind of overpowered by the time we get to Clown 3. To answer your question, Edward, I would only want to do them as long as I have ideas to do them. But because I am such a slasher fan, and I think the genre is incredibly versatile. I think there are certain strictures you have to hit, but I, I I could see myself going beyond 4, for sure. But I know I only one book at a time. I know what I want 4 to be, and that I want to write it. So we'll work on that, and then we'll worry about whether or not there's going to be a 5. I wondered about if the author has control. We're still talking about covers over here. I wonder if the author had any control. They do look awesome, but I bet it's nerve wracking. It is because I've been not right now. I actually don't have any books in print with bad covers now, but especially in my indie publishing days, I had a couple covers. You can probably guess what they are if you go look at my Goodreads history of the different versions of the books. I had a couple covers that really sucked. They were really terrible. I really hated them. And there's nothing you can really do about it. I remember at one point I was like, I will commission a different cover for this book, and the publisher was kind of insulted by that. But I'm on a roll now. I'm on an absolute roll. The process for the Clown of the Cornfield books is actually slightly different. Um, because I do have feedback. I am able to give feedback there. It's just a difference in the editor you're working with, a difference in process. The first one was the one I had the least impact on, just because they told me who they were hiring. They sent me like a couple of portfolios, and I just saw Matt Ryan Tobin's name, and I basically didn't even look at the other portfolios. So sorry for the other artists that were like in the running for Clown of the Cornfield to do the art, but I saw Matt Ryan Tobin's name, and I was already a huge fan of his work. He does a lot of posters for Mondo, and he's just an incredible artist. I've got his art book here. This just recently came out. It's called Neon Void. But I've got he just does amazing. Here's his art for Lords of Salem. Here's his art for Child's Play 2. Like he does like just iconic work, beautiful work. But I've gotten pretty friendly with him, and the covers for 2 and 3 became more of a dialogue, became more of a like, what about this kind of thing, and I got to like give cover prompts and stuff like that. So stuff like touches like having the Friendo mask on the cover of 2, and then having the city of Philadelphia reflected in Frendo's eyes, which is like a small detail that only some people catch. That was a suggestion from me, and that was getting to work in a somewhat more collaborative manner with Matt Ryan Tobin is a dream. The Church of Friendo, the subtle religious imagery here with the halo, not only of the moon but the halo of flies on Friendo. That was a me suggestion, which is great. And Matt's, you know, uh, the goat when it comes to this stuff. So very, very honored there. Any updates on the movie, and will there be justice for, we blank out that character's name because some people haven't read the first book. Um, no updates on the movie other than the fact to say it was 2 weeks ago it got its R rating from the MPAA. That's usually a sign that a movie's coming, or at least news of a movie is coming soon, guys. I can't tell you anything else. Like I will be a corporate assassin will like take me out if I said stuff that I know about about the movie. All in good time. Indigo asks, "Will there be movies for 2 and 3?" That's something I don't know the answer to. That's something no one knows the answer to. If they make money, I bet if it makes money, I'm sure there will be. I think money talks. My wants and desires walk at that point. So fingers crossed. Go see the movie when it comes out. Vanessa says Church of Friendo is my favorite cover so far. Me too, for sure. Um, it's just gorgeous. It's if you see it in person, like you see it online isn't any big shakes. You see it in person and you're like, holy crap, how the hell did the what is technically the children's department of HarperCollins allow this to be printed on a bunch of books? Um, it's exciting. Little Delicious says, "I wish you all the royalties in the world." Thank you so much, Little Delicious. It's how I feed my family. Yeah, no, I'm very very blessed in that regard. So thank you. Pikel Pyres, very funny, says, "Finished Clown of the Cornfield 3 yesterday. I'm so excited for the movie." Pikel Pyres, I keep saying it. It's just too funny. Thank you so much. If you have a moment to go to the very big retailer website that a lot of people buy their books at, even if you didn't buy the book there, and leave a review, it's Amazon. If you go there and leave a review, it helps me out so much. It just needs to be a sentence or two. Helps me make the case for Climb of the Cornfield 4. And helps more people find the book. When you like review a book, when you pre-order a book, it like helps all like the analytics on these big websites, and helps show the book to more people who may not even know. I've been doing lives for weeks now, and occasionally people will come into the live who really like the first two Cloud of the Cornfield books and didn't know there was a third one yet. So it helps spread the word. So thank you so much. Same thing with influencer, especially if you've listened to the influencer. If you listen to the influencer audiobook, the Audible, don't just rate it on Audible. Don't just go into the Audible app and hit 5 stars, which you know you do you as many stars as you want to give is great. But go to the AMAZON page for the paperback, because those reviews don't cross over, and leave a review there for the book. So thank you so much. Vanessa S, is the movie straight to streaming? I can't talk about any. I can't talk about any movie release stuff. Pikel Pyre says, "I gave it a Goodreads rating too. Hope that helps too." It does help. It does. It helps a lot. If you're going to have the review and you just want to copy paste it over to the AMAZON place, it helps double. Hey Adam, what's your writing process like? That's a good question. I'll give you like snippets of my writing process, because my writing process is very varied. And there's no one way to skin a cat. Everyone does it different. I like momentum. On my writing days, I'm not one of those write every day or you're not a real writer writers, because I think those guys are tools. It's just not realistic. And it's not even realistic with like the world of publishing, because there's days like today where I want to go talk about my books that just came out. So my writing process is momentum based. I like to, on my days that I'm writing, and when I'm mid draft, when I'm in draft, what I like to do is write for as long as I possibly can on that day, like huge marathon sessions, because I do, like I said, I work up momentum, and then typically, if I have a few of those in a row, what I do to start my writing day is I read what I wrote yesterday. Um, do a kind of light pass on it and a light edit, just to remind myself where I am and to make the prose a little bit better, so that I end up with a first draft that's like a first draft plus. And then I just continue on from there. That's my general thing. If I'm feeling really spicy, I will go out to a coffee shop or a library. I do a lot of writing in my office here, but I do an equal amount probably out in public, because I find that I'm like an anxious person, and I find like anxiety helps in that case, where if you have a bunch of people around you, and you're like, if you're sitting there and you're dicking around on your phone, you can kind of imagine that they're like, oh, they know I'm not working. So it makes me work faster for whatever reason. Does that make sense? Bad Boys Lit Club asks, anything like Tribesman happening again? Oh, this book's like way harder core than Tribesman. This book's way sicker than Tribesman. But we'll see. I want to do more supernatural stuff, because the Clown of the Cornfield books are not supernatural. Well, 3 has a touch. They're not supernatural. Influencer is not supernatural. Um, Tribesman, Zero Lives Remaining. Um, video night, supernatural, if you count, aliens as supernatural. Um, I do want to do more stuff like that. My next YA horror novel is going to be, I've talked about this before, so this isn't like an exclusive, but my next one is going to be a vampire novel. It's kind of, if I were to do vampires, if I ran the zoo, vampires are my, first of all, people who watch the YouTube definitely know this, but vampires are kind of my favorite thing. They're like my favorite movie monster. They're my favorite literary monster. They're kind of a subgenre onto themselves, a genre onto themselves. So I figured 15 years into my career, it was probably time to write a vampire book, and that's what the next one's going to be. It's going to be. I shouldn't say next one because who knows about publishing. Publishing takes weird turns and takes a long time. But the next book I'm writing that's not a series book is going to be a vampire book. Hazelnut asked, "Any advice on landing an agent? Congrats on your success." Here's good advice on landing an agent. You can read all the articles in the world about like how to format a query letter and stuff like that, and what makes a good query letter, and going on like websites like Query Tractor and stuff like that, and finding an agent that's right for you. All that advice will be good advice. There's the classic chestnut of advice of like, make sure you're querying agents where you've read their list, like make sure that they're a right fit for like the kind of stuff you want to write. um, but that's dime a dozen stuff. I'll tell you specifically, what I found is when an agent rejects you, but they give you a personal rejection, and it says something along the lines of, "But I love you, but I like your writing, and I want to read more of your stuff." They're not lying. They're never lying in that point. Like, you don't think that you got that back and that's a form rejection. That's a form, like that's something they send out to everyone. That's not something they send out to everyone. If you get an agent who writes in writing, says in writing that they are interested in your stuff and they like the way you write, but that particular project wasn't a fit for them, query them with the next project 100%. That is how I got my agent. I think I queried him twice. I think I sent Alex Shane 2 books before he became my agent. And each time he had said, "Yeah, no, but I want to take another look at the next thing." So that is like that's the personal piece of advice I can give to you, is don't think that all rejection is not created equal. Like, you will get some rejection that is just clearly a form letter that has no like open door to continue submitting to. But be persistent with the places that you want to get placed. You and Stephen Graham Jones are the mighty deities of slasher novels. What do you personally look for in a slasher book movie that makes or breaks your enjoyment of it? It's very different for books than it is films, because one of my things that I love with slasher movies, especially any kind of 70s, 80s, 90s. I like regional films, and I like movies that, my favorite Friday the 13th movie is the first one, because you get to see so much of New Jersey in that movie. And it's before they switched to Paramount. They're not like a Hollywood backlot. So I like regionality and specificity and weirdness in slashers. I like, one of my favorite slashers is Bloodhook, which is, it is a fishing based slasher. I like weird stuff like that. So I would say, don't be afraid to lean into specificity. I think with slashers, the trap is always people look at the big slasher film franchises and think that they have to emulate that. And the best ones of those, Halloween, Black Christmas, the best ones of those are super spare. Like, they're super, I don't want to say generic, but they're the the enjoyment of those two films is like how well made they are and how well told that story is. Um, I think everything post that, to me, the appeal is the specificity and the weirdness. So I would, if you look at Stephen Graham's Jones is a great example of literary slasher in the embracing the weirdness. If you look at like who the villains end up being in like each of those books, and the fact that there are multiple villains slash almost monsters in those books, gives you a good idea of like make your slashers a little bit out there. Chopping Mall is Chef's Kiss. I wouldn't call Chopping Mall. Would I call Chopping Mall a slasher? They're robots, and they don't doesn't it's not structured so much like a slasher. I guess it is because there's like the transgression of like staying in the mall overnight. Um, you know, point to the runner. Uh, but that's a good example. That's a weird movie, even if I don't particularly think of it. It's not top of mind when I think of slashers. Yes, so hyped for a vampire novel, such an underrepresented genre. I mean, there's a lot of vampire fiction. I mean, there's a hell of a lot more vampire fiction than there is slasher fiction. So that's a little bit of, a concern in wanting to write my own slasher book or wanting to write my own vampire book. But I think I have a pretty good way of doing it. Liam James says Adam Caesar writing vampires. I am sold. Thank you. I hope you're sold on Influencer too, because Influencer helps fund the next one. So, um, if for new people in the chat, this is the story of a sociopathic Instagram poet who thinks he is the next coming of Charles Manson, and the one girl at school who's going to try to stop him. It is a dual narrative novel. We are close first person perspective, and we switch back and forth between Aaron, the social media influencer, who's an a-hole and a serial killer and a sociopath, and Crystal, the nice but kind of painfully socially anxious girl at school who basically stumbles into being tasked with stopping this guy. And we switch back and forth between them. That's this book. It is inspired by like fans of serial killers, fans of true crime stuff are going to enjoy it. If you like techno thrillers in a weird way, you're probably going to like it too. I'm not like Clive Cussler here. It's not that kind of techno thriller, but and if you like kind of harder edged, a little bit more transgressive like films like Funny Games, weirdly enough, as a point of comparison for this teen novel, you will enjoy it. There are links to where you can get signed copies of this in my bio, but it's also out today at every Barnes and Noble, every Books a Million. They've got copies, so just make sure you ask them when you go in. If you don't see it immediately on the shelf, it might be shelved kind of weird. It might be at a different section. It might be on an end cap, might be on a table. Just ask booksellers if you can't find it. I have not read Clown in the Cornfield yet, but it's the #1 book I've been wanting to read. I hope you check it out, Tommy. And I hope you enjoy it so much that you pick up the sequels. Emily Hux asked on KU. My young adult books are not on Kindle Unlimited. These are out through HarperCollins and Union Square. So these are kind of big press books. So they're not on Kindle Unlimited. But all my adult titles, all my previous work, they're all on Kindle Unlimited. I hope you check them out. We went through them a little earlier in the stream. Someone had shouted out the con season. That's a good one to start with, that or Video Night. But they're on Kindle Unlimited. I love when people read them that way. I was actually asked this weekend at a show. Someone was kind of sheepishly asking. They were like, "Do you really make money on that?" And it's like, "Yeah, I make money on it. I don't care how you read them. I'd rather you don't like download a janky PDF off the internet. Otherwise, yeah, Kindle Unlimited, totally cool with me." Gordo, thank you so much for sending the corn. I really appreciate that. Yeah, Emily, thank you so much. Video Night. These are various artists. This one's an illustrative cover by Frank Walls. Beautiful stuff. This is Matthew Revere did this one. I hope you'll check out the books. Rocky Horror for Life 22. Hell yeah, Rocky Horror. I'll read your question, Rocky Horror, but I'm going to show you some cool Rocky Horror merch in a second. I'm obsessed with Clown in the Cornfield series. I can't wait to read book 3 and hope for a book 4. I think there might be one. So I hope you've picked up Clown in the Cornfield 3 already. And just because I'm a Rocky Horror fan, I want to show you what I've got. I don't have a lot of film reels. I don't have a lot of like 16 and Super 8 and stuff like that, but I have a Super 8 color and sound um, edition, cut down, because this isn't the whole film. This is just like selected songs from the film, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Look how cool this is. It's in great condition too. Pretty dope, right? I want the chat to tell me how dope this is. Thank you. Jesse said so sick. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I got that at a convention. The vendor, I'm not sure. I think they must have bought someone's like eBay lot or something like that. They weren't super, like, I was asking some questions about some of the Super 8 stuff they had. They weren't 100% the most knowledgeable about it, so I wasn't quite sure what I was getting. But the price was right, and I was like, yeah, I definitely want this. Um, Rumini and I love your work. Clown of the Cornfield 3 was a bop. Uh, Go away Hertz says, say hi to your roommate for me. I'm glad they liked Climb the Cornfield 3. Please, if you get a chance, leave a quick review on AMAZON. When you get a chance, it helps me out, helps me make the case for a Climb the Cornfield 4. So thank you. And I hope you and the roomie got to get split a copy of Influencer between you. Okay, go grab it today. It's out today. Or if you want a signed edition, there's a link in my bio to send you a signed edition. Also celebrating its book birthday today. I'm not associated with this book. I did blurb it though. I just really liked it. Coup de Grace by Sophia Ajram. This is the arc, so it's kind of floppy and shiny looking. But the real edition of this is hardcover. Just came out in hardcover today. I really really like it. A liminal space horror about a suicidal guy who is trapped in a never-ending train station, a never-ending Montreal subway station. It's very, very good. Kind of like I was talking to Edward before about the idea of, like, I love specificity in books. I love like setting as character and stuff like that. This could have been a little literary horror novel about anywhere USA, but it is very particularly about Montreal, and like the subway systems they have in Montreal, and that just adds so much to it, I think. And it's really creepy and really gross and really sad. So all the things I like in books. Check that out when you go to the store today and pick up Influencer. All right, how long have I been going? I've been going for over an hour. I should probably go eat some lunch. I'm like gonna pass out. And then I should probably drive around to some more stores. I've been driving around to different Barnes and Nobles and checking that they have Influencer and signing all the copies they have. K. Ben Shapiro, very funny, very funny. Influencer rules. Thank you so much. If you have a chance today, if you could go to the Amazon listing, not for the audiobook, but for the paperback, and add a quick, 1 or 2 line review. Just tell people that they should check the book out. It helps me out a lot. And if you're on the fence, but you have Audible already, this didn't go away from Audible. It's still an Audible original. Audible originals you don't have to use a credit for; they're included with your subscription. So just go listen to it. Caesar Army, let's go. Let's go to AMAZON. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Y'all are the best. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for checking out Influencer. Thank you for all the kind words about Climb the Cornfield 3. Hopefully get to share some info with you about the Climb the Cornfield movie soon, directed by Eli Craig, who did Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, produced by Temple Hill, who has got Smile 2 coming out very soon. Thank you, everyone. That was a good stream. I feel very, very good about that. Let's close it down.